All right, well, thank you for joining us. We're going to get started right away here, and just a quick agenda. We've already done a couple of introductions, but I'm going to introduce our instructors, and then we'll move on into industry overview, and we're going to look at the IT support industry, and then we're also going to look at specifically cybersecurity. We'll do those in discrete chunks, and then we're going to also provide a preview of the courses that NapaLearns will be hosting, so that you can really see not only what it's like to be a learner in the course, but what the specific curriculum and outlines are for the courses. And then you're going to hear from some of our distinguished guest speakers who will be talking about their areas of expertise, and then we'll open it up to question and answer. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. So you'll see on your Zoom control panel, there's an area for chat, and we'll be monitoring the chat, and someone from our team will hopefully answer the question, or they'll be able to ask us to stop and answer it live on our Zoom. And with that, I will introduce our two fabulous instructors, Craig Blackman and Travis Eliason. Craig, do you want to introduce yourself to the group?
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Craig Blackman. I will be instructing the Google IT support course, and a little bit of background about myself. I've worked in the wine industry alone for a little over 20 years. Within the wine industry, I've worked in the IT field for a little over 15 years. Worked my way up, I started in retail at a winery, and then got into fixing the computers and fixing the scanners, printers, and just doing what I could, and then actually moved my way up and progressed into a full-fledged IT role. Actually did some administration, marketing, and SEO also. Became a software specialist, and now I currently work for the software company that we had at the winery, and it is a full-fledged customer retail software system for wineries that does e-commerce, wine clubs, point of sale systems, essentially direct to consumer software. So, and in this role, I'm actually doing a lot. I do software support specialist, but I've also moved into product management and project management also. So my IT role has greatly expanded. And recently I've gone back to school when I started before, and I'm finishing my computer science degree. So now here we are at the present, and I will be hosting you guys through this course.
Awesome. Travis, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, my name is Travis Eliason. I'll be teaching you guys the Cisco Cybersecurity Introduction and Essentials courses. I have about 23 years in IT. I was part of the first graduating class of New Technology High School, which way back in 1998 got me a position as an internship actually for Queen of the Valley Hospital. So I worked there for about 8 years doing help desk support. I was a telecom manager there. Got my feet wet in a lot of networking and technology. I've went on to a career in Sutter Health after that for about 10 years. Mostly all my career has been healthcare, with a few odd years in direct-to-consumer wine shipping. I work with a couple of different wineries on contract work as well. So definitely being in those industries and knowing between networking, telecommunications, POS devices, technology has only grown in the Valley and grown where we are. Right now I'm working for Calvet Hospital in California, in the Yountville site. I'm part of the application development team, which is a different role for me. I'm usually under desks, not working on top of one, doing more wiring anymore. So it was a great new career choice for me, obviously local to home. Most of my jobs have been here in the Northern California Bay Area. And I can tell you right now, technology jobs are only getting more lucrative. And your skills we're going to have to be well more honed, because people in technology fields are getting smarter every day, just as hackers are at getting our information, as we've seen in the news today. So yeah, I bring a plethora of knowledge from all kinds of careers here in the Valley, and I can't wait to help you guys with this course.
Thanks, Craig and Travis. That's awesome. And we're really fortunate to have you guys leading these courses. We're really excited to have you guys joining our team and helping us in our very first year of the NapaLearns Virtual Career Academy. So Travis, do you want to tee up this video a little bit?
Yeah, right now, I don't know if you guys have been online today, but there's some breaches going on in cybersecurity. We're constantly under attack from ourselves and other countries, as you well know. And so here's a short video on a very intense video on cybersecurity in our country as it looks today.
The US government's investigating a massive cyber attack.
Hackers, big breach.
Massive cyber attack.
A major security attack.
The largest hack ever.
Awesome. That was a video that Cisco Networking Academy, whose curriculum we're utilizing, put together, which I think really paints a great picture around the need for folks who are dedicated to keeping us safe as we utilize technology in every facet of our day-to-day life. I know me personally, just over the past few years, even in our own homes, our homes are becoming so much more automated with technology, and it's really fascinating to think about just the explosion and the orders of magnitude of more technology that's coming into our lives that we don't really think about and think about it needing to be secured. So with that, Travis, do you want to talk a little bit about the industries that leverage cybersecurity?
Those industries would be all industries. As we were saying, with idle hands, people at home now more than ever are attacking and finding ways of either just messing around or very malicious ways of getting information. I can tell you right now, if that video got your blood pumping, you should see how it is working for a healthcare system with 27,000 computers and you have a breach on your hands. That to make sure your blood runs faster. You'll find cybersecurity in every industry: financial institutions, energy and utilities, retail, pretty much anything that can harness or harvest your information, whether it be financial or personal. People want it. They want to know everything about you at all times, and it's up for sale. Government, as you can imagine, manufacturing, stealing of people's IP and intellectual properties is on the rise, and they're getting more and more sophisticated, and the only way to block them is people like you and I to get on the front lines and stop and repel these attacks.
Awesome. So you want to talk a little bit about the careers in cybersecurity?
Sure, absolutely. And these jobs, these are actually almost, these figures are not a joke. It's a very lucrative career to get into. You can work for multiple careers at one time, and you have to understand, with COVID happening, we might have instances like this in the future. So literally you're stepping into a career that you can have, and even when things are shutting down, you're actually become more important, which is really hard to imagine. But these positions, cybersecurity analyst, penetration tester, you can actually be on the front lines, actually watching people. And a big part of these is becoming a hacker yourself. The only way to combat a hacker is to be a hacker. So you literally learn the tools to be the front lines of the shield of your company, and they rely on you every single day. And people that are your customers, obviously, without knowing, put a lot of faith in you as well. network architect, which I'm sure Gene can speak to as well, network administrator. There is absolutely no aspect of the job when you get into IT that you never ever think about cybersecurity. And it should be, if on the forefront, it's always somewhere lingering in your mind that people are hacking us and attacking us at all times. And the money associated with the positions is very high. They're very well paid jobs, and the people here love what they do.
And then do you want to tell people about how many jobs are currently open in security?
Yeah, I see this number myself. I always look at the job boards, even though I'm not looking for positions. But I mean, there's over 2,000 jobs right now in the local Northern Bay area that deal with cybersecurity and technology. Like I said, as when things shut down here at the hospital, only people that are here on staff, but mostly the whole tech team was IT. You know, that was like that Sutter Health as well. You know, when it comes down to the bare bones, we're always part of that skeleton, and technology will always be here, if not more important, when things like this happen. So getting into a career in IT right now is a very good idea for anybody, I would say.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the overview. We're going to now turn our attention to our two guest speakers. We're going to start with Swati Honda, who's a senior product manager at Cisco, specifically working on the Cisco Networking Academy team. Hi, Swati.
Hi, Mario. Thank you guys for having me. Such a pleasure. And Travis, you know, when you shared that video, I must have seen it thousands of times about cybersecurity, but every time it gets the blood rushing, right? Isn't it amazing just to see? And those stats keep changing. And I'm thinking, hey, we made that video. Since we made that video, I already know it's outdated because the numbers are there are more jobs, there's a bigger need for individuals to be here, you know. So the job opportunities as well as the, you know, the implications, the financial implications of the impact, those are increasing. Everything's increasing. So that's one of the challenges of being in this industry. It's like, yeah, you got it out there, but it's already outdated by the time you posted it. So, but it's just wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's job security for you, I suppose.
Yes, and for everybody who is in this field. That's what. So I lead the global strategy for Networking Academy. That's what I do. It's kind of like a dream come true job, because prior to this, I worked at Amex as an architect. So I was on the other side. So I was on the, you know, the defending side, where I was making sure that we have a network safe for a couple of years. And now moving from that side to coming to enabling individuals and creating that next generation of individuals who are ready to take on that role is gratifying. That's all I can say. You know, that's just the global footprint. I think in the last 22 years, we have trained and enabled jobs for more than 11 million folks globally. Wow.
That's
so
amazing.
Just the footprint of it is so huge, and being, you know, associated with that, having an opportunity to provide that information at a global scale is, you know, a great opportunity. So again,
absolutely,
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How did you get started in this field, and why are you passionate, or why were you passionate to pursue, you know, a career in technology?
So it's kind of, I mean, I started as an IT engineer. So when I started in this field, you know how you today have degrees in cybersecurity, or there are specific courses in cybersecurity that didn't exist at that point of time. It was just technology. So that's how I started with it. And before I knew it, I realized it's one of those few fields in technology which offer you the constant changes and the constant challenges of it. So you always get to solve a new problem. You're never the smartest person in the room. There's already somebody who's thinking a step ahead of you. So just the challenge of it, the field of it, right? I felt it was a great fit. And as a kid, I had a knack for solving puzzles, and, you know, this is the environment that simulated me. So as long as it continuously stimulates and makes you feel good, you're like, why not? Why would I want to be anywhere else?
Absolutely. What do you wish someone had told you before you pursued your career, or before you got to where you're at today, when you were younger and educating yourself?
So at that point of time, one of the things that were told to me were, oh, you can't get into cybersecurity if you don't have the experience. Like you need to have experience before you get into this field. And what I realized was so I built up on my career in IT before I jumped into security. But the reality is that's not the truth. The truth is there are a lot of opportunities and a lot of things that I could have done in parallel right in the beginning before building on my IT career. So that's my advice to anybody who wants to get into the field. Don't wait to build on your experience or work through something before coming to security. Security can be right in the beginning. There are a lot of openings for individuals in the beginning at the associate level for individuals who start in this field versus it's not just limited to experienced individuals. It's open for beginners as well.
That's awesome. What is a day in the life of someone who works at Cisco look like? What is your typical day look like?
What does my typical day? It is so different every day. Every day is, but I feel instead of just describing a typical day, I can tell you what are the things that keeps me going. I think that's what I want to talk about. Is one, I get to talk with cool people like all of you. That's definitely a highlight of my job. I get to talk with smart people, learn new things, just making sure that what we are putting forward as part of a networking academy is the most relevant information, right? It's the information that we put together and is applicable not just for now, but is applicable 3 to 5 years from now. So we have to constantly be in the know of what's happening. And again, as I said, it's a challenging job for somebody in the cybersecurity field versus a traditional field. So that's definitely a cool part where you get to figure things, right? Just to understand, and then looking at industry trends, as well as something which is most relevant for our audience. Talking to various folks across the globe, the challenges that people have in certain parts in Southeast Asia versus Africa versus here in the US, the outlook's totally different. Here, a high school student will have a totally different outlook than an experienced individual in Southeast Asia. So just seeing that how people approach the same problem in different ways, that's again an interesting part of what we get to do here.
That's awesome. What, I know I didn't prepare this question, but I know you'll be able to talk to it, is, why is Cisco so invested in Networking Academy and really promoting educational opportunities like this for students?
Because it's embedded in our DNA. It's what we do. It's kind of like, why do you brush your teeth, or why do you, exercise, or why do you do, it's basic hygiene. It's what we are built for, right? It's our way of giving back. Obviously there's the side where we are taken as forefront for security and networking, and this is what we are known for in industry, but that doesn't solve the talent gap that exists in the world today, right? The challenge that we have where we need to prepare. So that's one of the main reasons why Chuck, our CEO, is heavily invested in making sure we develop that next set of individuals globally. And, that's how Networking Academy was born 22 years ago.
It's a beautiful concept. I'm sure the field of cybersecurity has changed a lot over that time as well.
So 22 years ago, there was nothing that was called out for security. It was just, it was IT. And over a period of time so it's a fairly, compared to other fields, it's a fairly new field, but that's what makes it exciting, that, it's like today I was reading an article how nanotechnology is, cybersecurity is embedded in nanotechnology. So again, things which are there for the future, and how cybersecurity is embedded everywhere there's technology.
Yeah. I think what's really interesting too about the field on that note too, is that it seems as though, and I'm not an expert, but it seems as though it's not strictly technical. A lot of it has to do with how people think, and really just there's some psychology at play, and there's certainly looking at why people execute certain attacks and what the intention is. I mean, I think there are many facets to it. Is that why it's become a specialized
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, Mario, on that. And in fact, when I used to hire folks for my team, my favorite people to hire were either journalists or people who were kindergarten teachers. And I'm not kidding. And I'll tell you why. Because journalists are folks who are curious and look, so why? So why did we do this? What's the thought process behind it? So the inquisitive mind, the why. You can upgrade people on the technology, but you can't teach them to think. That's the hardest part, right? It's the skills within them. And the second were for kindergarten teachers, I always feel they're the best because they know their assets and they know their weaknesses and they know how to protect them. So think about it from that point of view. And that's whenever my team came up to me and said, oh, we need to hire so-and-so. So I always like, okay, I got it. I got all of these, but when you talk to them, this is what we are looking for, right? This is the kind of bent of mind just to give you a flavor of that, how diverse the field is, right? So it's not just the typical hackers that's associated with it. Rather, it's more about people who have the right bent of mind.
Yeah, and it seems like the more diversity, the better, because
Absolutely.
as you mentioned, something that may be considered a security threat here in the United States may look totally different in a different country or for a different population of people.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. That's awesome. And then the last question I have for you is, because we're focused on learning, what skills are you working on yourself as you continue down your career path, and why is it important to continuously be improving your skills?
Like, what do I do to improve my skills? Like the continuous learning part of it.
Yeah.
So when I started as an IT engineer. So after that, I went to Stanford and then I did my master's in security. And after that, I got a CISSP and further certifications down that path. So actually now I don't even question of why am I upgrading myself or why am I learning new things? It's kind of like, because one, there is always so much to learn at any point of time, not just, like at the beginning of your career or the typical school age that you would think of. It's a constant learning path. So anybody could reskill and learn at any point in their life. But as they do it, as they go on this journey, it's kind of like you do it once and the rewards that you get back in return, right? Not just in terms of knowledge, but every time you take on a course, think from you get to meet folks who work in a similar domain. So you have similar interest and you pick up more. You pick up from the course and you pick up from your peers who are working in that domain and in that course. So it's kind of like a win-win situation. That's how I see it. And that's why I feel NapaLearns is a perfect institute on that end to make sure that folks have that opportunities available.
Swati, this is Peg, former Cisco.
Absolutely, Peg. How are you?
Good. How are you? I do remember that 22 years ago. Anyway, how important is college, 2-year or 4-year degrees to be in cybersecurity?
So a lot of our certification courses are embedded in the 2-year curriculum, the college courses that we have. We see that, but that's not a prerequisite, right? That's what I want to call out. For our courses, we ensure that anybody can take them. That's how we design our courses. They're no prerequisite. It doesn't need individuals. So I've seen a lot of high school students take up our courses, right? They have, as long as they have the right bent of mind, they've been to summer camps or they've been to virtual classes like the ones that you're offering, right? Which gives them that foundation with very basic understanding of security or networking. That just puts them on the path for the courses. So I wouldn't put that peg necessarily as a must-have. Rather, we're trying to design courses which are more inclusive.
Great, thanks.
That's awesome. And thanks for asking that, Peg. I think that's a really important aspect of our work and what students are really interested in right now as we kind of launch these courses. Thanks, Swati. I'm going to move on to our next guest speaker. We really appreciate having you, and we really appreciate the support that Cisco and the Networking Academy have given us. We're really excited to give Peg an opportunity to relive her glory days in Cisco land.
No, thank you for having me, guys. I'm really excited for you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Swati. All right, I'm gonna share my screen again here and introduce our next guest speaker, Dean Zerby. Is that how you pronounce your last name, Dean? I never was clear on that. I should have figured that out.
You actually did a really good job. Yeah. the E is actually still there.
It is still there. Okay, good. I wasn't totally sure.
Oh, good.
Well, thanks for making the time to join us. Chuck McMinn, our board president, speaks very highly of you and your group over there at IntelliTrace. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and why you're passionate about cybersecurity?
Sure. I'm Vice President, founder, and CTO of IntelliTrace. We started back in 2000 as a little three-man shop, and I think I've got 20 engineers under me now spread across the world, not just in the United States. So we predominantly focus on network infrastructure. There's so much being moved out of the office into the cloud. And the cloud is another network that needs to be managed that people don't realize. So my passion for this is the network infrastructure, all the way from the cable that plugs in, all the way out, because there's so many pieces. We'll go back to like the OSI model. Everybody likes to jump into the application. Everybody likes to jump into the program, but they forget about those layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 stuff that are fundamentals. And I love it because I like taking what I like to call the ethical hack approach, where you try to go after things in a non-common way to figure out how things work. And to go back, one of the questions that was said earlier, I like people that ask why. Why does it work this way? Why are you doing it this way? Why do you think that? And then I like twisting it, because some of my most amazing, interesting attacks, so to speak, have been through means that were completely, utterly legitimate. And those are the ones. I had someone coming in and requesting tons of a single image from all over the world. And basically they had the customer kill themselves. So fun stuff, creative. I got into it sort of like was being said before. It's a new thing every day. It's something changing every day. I jokingly call an internet year 3 months, because things change that fast. You know, I remember when I first started, like frame relay was great. That's the security thing. Now it's what I'm drawing a blank. Now it's the latest thing is SD-WAN, and how do you secure that going over the internet? So things are just going crazy in my infrastructure. Firewalls. Back when we were first starting in 2000, it was bring your own device didn't exist. Now everybody's bringing their own device. So network security has gone from protect the edge to trust no one. Even with Chuck's network, we did an upgrade recently. We initially designed that network as protect the edge, and now that network is trust nobody. So the verticals are all over the place. Hospitality is an interesting one, because the end users, the customers, can actually get out and touch stuff. So your physical is exposed. We go into stuff with space exploration, where we're supporting some of those networks that have completely different needs. The vertical markets are endless because everybody needs it. Everybody. You can't even go to school without it now. So,
right.
Excuse me.
Awesome.
So I got in this because I like a challenge.
Absolutely.
And the challenge doesn't end, it changes.
It sounds like it. I can only imagine just how much, you know, in terms of the industries and the need for it. I mean, I'm sure just over the past, 10 years, it has completely changed. 20 years, it's just been that, it wasn't really thought about, until, everything became connected, right?
Well, yeah, it's connected, but it's not. We had a large credit union. They had all their stuff in GoDaddy. And particularly when GoDaddy, I don't know if you guys remember a few years back when they had their DNS servers nailed.
Yeah.
And the question was, how do we make sure this doesn't happen again? Well, how are you going to stop something that huge? Actually, it's very simple to solve it. So I'll get into it a little later if anybody's interested.
Sounds good. So what was your pathway into your current career? what led you into cybersecurity or into network?
I took a very weird direction. Networking and computers are a passion for me. So I actually took the trade path. I'm a UCSF grad in paramedicine. So completely different path, but that did teach me the basic concept of diagnostic skills. And I always wanted to learn more, wanted to learn more, wanted to learn more. And I followed a lot of the Cisco and Microsoft trade certification paths to get where I'm at now. We love using them because those various paths of the vendors are a great validation tool. Whether or not someone has the base knowledge, then we got to take and put it to use. And those two things is utilizing the education of the trades or the certification process that's out there to get the fundamentals and to get the concepts and the theories, and then start expanding beyond that and then start applying it. And in many cases, applying it in ways that weren't really meant to be applied, so you truly understand what its limitations and abilities are.
That makes sense. Kind of like you were talking about how, you know, a lot of the, you know, so-called like hacks or vulnerabilities you found were completely like unconventional, right?
Well, they were means that were completely legitimate. They were just never thought of being used that way. And that's why I like those curious people. I mean, we were talking about earlier, you know, the school teachers and all that type of stuff. How many times does a school teacher get asked why? I mean, they must have that question answered 1,000 times. But I like my people to ask why and understand the fundamentals and why are we going at it from this angle and why don't we look at it from this angle? Because the moment you think you know it all, someone's going to correct you.
Yep. Angeline Warnock, who's a high school biology teacher, said all the time, why? She's she has some personal experience.
Well, if it's not then, when are we going to get there? So
yeah, exactly. What do you wish someone would have told you when you were first starting out or considering networking or cybersecurity?
Back when I was doing this, cybersecurity wasn't a thing. It didn't exist, like Peg and other people have said. What I wish someone told me is actually some of the advice I gave some of my new engineers. Find a passion. Find something you enjoy. Because if it's not a passion and you don't enjoy it, you're not going to put the hours in that it requires to truly be an expert. I'm not a fan of programming, you know, writing Java, all that stuff. Not a good path for me. I'm not a fan of sitting in front of a computer and fixing it for 10 minutes later, getting frustrated with the user for breaking it again. So that wasn't a path for me. I didn't know that in the beginning. I learned those over time. And I learned that networking was the place for me, and I enjoyed it. And the IT security, the breadth of the ability to apply it is all over the place. So I would say find the passion, because you will never stop learning. You're always going to be learning. And if that's not exciting to you, this is not an industry to get into. You got to keep on wanting to know why, wanting to know why things change, how things work.
That's awesome. What, to help students understand, what is a typical day of like a network engineer or someone who's in security in your organization?
Fire drills. Usually when stuff gets to us, see, we have a different work because we work with companies that have their techs already on site, but they're not at our level. So they've already tried to look at it. And then mostly they're the server guys. Mostly they have something coming at them from a different angle. And we tend to work together as a team to identify what's going on. A typical day for me can be anything from, you know, change a security rule, change a port, clear to I'm getting a denial of service attack. We need to get rid of it. All over the place. Weird things going on, internal computers getting hit because trying to track it down. Since we have the view on the network, we have a different point of view than looking at it from a computer or server point of view. But I think the biggest thing is putting all those disciplines together as a unified team. The network guys aren't going to solve the problem. The server guys aren't going to solve the problem. The desktop guys aren't going to solve the problem. The carrier that takes the internet connection is not going to solve the problem. unless everybody can work as a team, and I think the most biggest one that training and stuff gives you is a common language to communicate so that you can work through the processes as fast as all. We can all go figure out and play on a keyboard, but when you try to communicate with the other person and they're not using the same language, the same terms, that can be difficult. Cisco is awesome product. We use it predominantly, but we have to work with other vendors too. And being smart enough and knowledgeable enough to how to learn in one platform and apply it to another platform, and being able to translate what those mean between platforms, those are the people that truly get it.
Absolutely. I formerly worked in IT too, and I know that the people you don't want to work with are the finger pointers. And you know, you can easily point a finger at someone else. Well, that's coming from your end. You know, it's your problem, and it just doesn't. It never goes anywhere when you have that mindset.
Well, everybody has a piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
If you're that person that can put that puzzle together or pull pieces out of other people to link it up with something else, things aren't always obvious. And when things are new and creative, they're just that. They're new and creative. There's something they haven't thought about. That's fun to me. It's a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a couple questions that I've just been thinking of as we're talking here. As it relates to kind of security, and as you mentioned, you know, when you first got started, security wasn't really necessarily like its own function. How have you seen, you know, like, I guess if you were looking at like where your team spends their time and energy, how much of it would you say percentage-wise is on, you know, just like interoperability problems or technical problems versus like legitimate security threats where you think you're under attack and there may be a security risk? Do you ever look at that, and is it growing? Do you find that there are more potential security?
It's growing every day. We subscribe to a number of news briefings where security flaws will come out. And the large organizations aren't as really quick as possible. We get advised that there's been a breach of a customer that we found out that was supposedly 3 years ago, that we fixed the day after, and nobody knew that it was there. So those are interesting things. I think the biggest thing is staying on top of maintenance, staying on top of patches, and staying on top of education of your users. And that's a piece that I think from a network point of view or a server point of view is very much overlooked. The biggest vulnerability point of any network is the end user, and keeping them knowledgeable, keeping them informed will save someone that's regarding security a lot of time and effort. Training.
Yeah, absolutely. So last question for you. Are you learning any new skills, and what do you keep up to date on, and what's you know, why should people in this role continually be adapting themselves and learning new things?
I have more than one thing I'm working on. I never work on just one. It's based on demand. I have one project where we're reviewing a number of the SD-WAN providers. That's challenging because they all do it. They do the same thing, but different.
Can you describe SD-WAN for maybe some of the students who aren't familiar?
SD-WAN is software-defined WAN, and really what it is up into including today, we use point-to-point circuits, or we use MPLS circuits, or if you really want to get some short-term lived technology, VPLS circuits, to get between sites for a private network. They can be costly. They can be a number of things, and there's technology coming out with SD-WAN where we can use that connection and an internet connection or two internet connections to go between two, what I call bookends, two places of known destination or source. And we can use multiple paths to use to gain access to them. And we can gain access to them because we want the best path, because the lowest latency, because we're using voice services. It's interesting because you can send packets across both data paths, and they can both be having errors or issues. As long as they're not at the same time, it'll never see it. The other way you can do it is you can do it to combine the bandwidth. So you can get more bandwidth between two sites instead of just using a routing option to go between A and Z. You can combine it and use both data paths as a combined and basically increase and utilize more bandwidth using it. Some people choose to use the internet, which I find is interesting, is the encryption and the security that's wrapped into that to be able to accomplish that. Some providers are using it as hop-off points to get software-defined services. A lot of companies now are outsourcing Office 365, Salesforce, RingCentral. A lot of these things are outsourced and using some of these vendors to make that quality of service better. So those tools function better for you. So that's that world. I have a lab at home. I have a lab at the office, and I'm always playing with new things, new ways of doing things. Things always are getting faster, and things are always said that they can handle it. And there's misconceptions. Big misconception is throughput on a device has absolutely nothing to do with speed, has to do with packets per second. And if I'm sending the full packet size is different than a little 64K or small packet size through it. Definitely a lot less traffic when I send small packets. So playing with that type of things to make we size stuff and things perform the way we're expected. So taking that hit, taking that effort so that the customer that we're servicing doesn't have to deal with those pain points.
That makes sense. So kind of looking ahead at what those issues may be, and really, you had mentioned kind of fire drills. So simulating, any kind of problems that you may see that may come up for your clients, so that you guys are ahead of the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of great virtualization environments out there. Cisco has a great virtualization environment. GNS3 is a great virtualization environment where you can put these physical appliances into a virtual environment and create a network and see how things are going to work together. When you upgrade software, what's going to happen? When you modify an access list, what's going to happen? So you can really virtualize in big complex changes. We do a lot of virtualization to know what's going to happen, to be able to write a script so the customer is not impacted. And it's great learning for us because we can make all the mistakes we want. It's not a real network.
That's awesome. That's a good point. And our students will also be able to experience virtualization too in the Networking Academy course, and be able to, remotely log into networks and do all that kind of fun stuff. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, get used to virtualization because it already has a term. Because we used to call it outsourced. We used to call it, resource management, whatever. Now they've just put a new word on it. It's called the cloud. Just still there, still exists. Just someone else that deals with it. We're the ones that deal with it. And people pay us to deal with it because people like their lives simple.
Right. Awesome. Well, thanks, Dean. I really appreciate you spending time with us.
My pleasure.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and push into now the IT support industry overview. Craig, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, so I really kind of want to piggyback off what Dean was talking about with the communication. There's so many different pathways that you can go down in IT, and you got to know how to talk to the other people, right? So foundational skills are really good, and I believe that the IT support certificate here really gives you a foundation into IT as a whole. So I guess it starts off with like troubleshooting and customer service, which is probably one of the most important things, to be able to talk to the client or talk to the customer in a way that you can relay the information or the problem that's going on. It also goes into networking. We do operating systems. We do a little system administration. And then the last course in it is actually a security course where we dive into the fundamentals of basic security and things like that. So it's really a good starting point and a foundation point to kind of learn a little bit of everything, but kind of discover which path you want to go down. Maybe you want to go down the security path, or maybe you want to be a systems administrator. So But like Dean had said, it's great to have a little bit of working knowledge of everything. So when you do need to reach out to the sysadmin or to the security guy, you know how to explain the situation correctly. So yeah, it's great. We do have a little testimonial here coming up that we can watch from a young gentleman that actually took the course.
As a little kid, I knew that I wanted to work with computers. The first time that I opened up a computer, I was in that trance where nothing else in the world mattered. After high school, I enrolled in college to study computer engineering. My father lost his job, so I had to drop out of college in order to work full-time to help support my family.
We see stories like Edgar all the time. Someone who's really smart, really ambitious, wants to break into the tech community, and just faces barrier after barrier.
You don't need 4 years of computer science training at a top-notch university to be great at this. These are skills that lots and lots of people can learn.
That's why Google created the IT Support Professional Certificate Program. It's designed for beginner-level learners to take them to job readiness in 8 to 12 months' time. The Google IT Support Professional Certificate Program is being offered on Coursera. It's been developed 100% by Googlers who are expert in IT. There's lots of interactive labs and assessments to really replicate what it's like to do this work on the job.
There are more than 150,000 unfilled IT support roles right now. Jobs in this field are predicted to grow 10% over the next decade. And these are flexible, well-paying jobs, but we want to make sure they're available to everyone.
To ensure that people of all backgrounds have access to the program, Google is supporting 10,000 learners through scholarships and full financial assistance.
We know we can't do this alone, so we're working with nonprofit partners who are specializing in working with, say, refugees or veterans or people from low-income communities to make sure that we're reaching everyone.
Once you complete the program and receive your certificate, you can share your information with companies like Bank of America, Walmart, Sprint, GE Digital, PNC Bank, Infosys, Tech Systems, UPMC, and of course, Google. It's all about jobs. It's all about creating pathways to jobs.
There's so many people in the world who love technology and what it can do, and who really, really love helping other people. And what we're trying to do is tap into that.
IT was something that I always wanted to do, and I found another way to achieve my dreams. My name is Edgar Barrigan, and I am an IT support specialist at Google.
So that was a great video. One thing that I do want to emphasize in there is the requirement of really wanting to help people. You do not definitely work alone in this job, and most of your work is going to be either helping people or helping the company you work for. So you definitely got to enjoy helping people. Just a quick little bit of a job description of some things you can run into in the IT field is maintaining computers and networks in organizations of all sizes, big and small, and then providing tech support to anyone in the company, making sure everything runs smooth. You also maintain computer systems, you install, you configure hardware and software, and you literally just solve problems all day. You can also be a tech support and just consist of software as well. I want to get that out of the way so you don't necessarily have to just deal with hardware. You could be specific to software also. And if you work in a small enough company where you might share your role, kind of like I did when I first started, where you're doing something, but if an IT problem arises, they might have you undertake your other work and actually put pressure on the IT problem, whether it be like the internet went out or you lost connection to a server or something. So that's just a little bit of an overview of the couple of things you could be doing. And then also in the industry, really, like Travis had mentioned, you almost can't get a job these days that doesn't have a IT department that helps that company get along. So as far as like software companies go, Microsoft, Adobe, NVIDIA, they all are going to have their own internal IT departments that help them do certain things. hardware companies, you know, if you order like Samsung and Epson and HP, I even have to call these people at sometimes because I'll run into issues with their hardware. So, you know, you call the specialist and then you talk and you do your jargon and you're able to help the customer in the long run. You know, there's medical, government, education, private sectors, nonprofits, logistics. I mean, you know, FedEx and UPS. I mean, those are huge. And then there's also like kind of on my job, we do more of software development, e-commerce for, we do wineries, but I mean, literally Amazon, I mean, anybody that sells online is e-commerce. And, you know, we work with payment processors, which, you know, you're talking about billions of dollar industries of, you know, companies and taking money. So there's a lot of third party companies that you'll be working with as well. So it's not just your company you're working for. So it gets pretty big. It's wild out there. There's a lot of things you can do. And then these are, just to give you a little bit of a description of some of the jobs that you can find. I'll start from the bottom right here and kind of work my way up, because you would most likely start as a user support specialist or even a network support specialist if that's what you wanted to specialize in networks. And as you can see, those earnings are pretty accurate all the way up here. And then, you know, if you wanted to go all the way up to a computer network architect, which would be, you know, somebody that is being hired to design a new company's network, or maybe even take over their architect of their network and help them build it out better. So, you know, it definitely, you start out as a user support specialist, but you can definitely grow. There's all kinds of branches you want to get into here. So the job growth on all of these is, some of them are a little low, but the industry average is about 10%. I think they gauge that out for the next 10 or 20 years. So it's going to continuously grow. There's no lack of IT support jobs for sure.
Yeah, I'll also note that these charts are also showing the current jobs and growth specifically within the North Bay here in California. So Sonoma, Solano, Napa, Mendocino, Marin, and Lake counties.
Right, and do note that, you know, some of the areas will vary obviously in pay depending on, you know, where you live, but this is a pretty good rough estimate of the numbers you'll see. So. And then also, obviously, there's a lot of jobs just in the Bay Area alone, kind of like cybersecurity. There's over 2,000 jobs, and they're all ranging from, I'm sure even security jobs would be listed in IT support roles too. So a lot of jobs out there.
Do you want to introduce your guest speaker?
Yeah, and actually, so my guest speaker is going to be Travis, because he has actually worked in this industry for a very long time, and he started in IT support, pretty much working with hardware and things like that. So he is my brother. We just love IT. We talk about it all day, every day, and I'll let him do the guest speak on this board.
Yeah, do you want to introduce yourself, Travis?
Hey guys, again, this is Travis Eliasson. Right now I'm working as Information Technology Associate at the California Veteran Affairs. Basically, I work on applications. I work on the software that nurses use to get medications to the patients. And so when that goes down and they don't have any kind of checks and balances, it's a big deal. So we're constantly developing tools to make things easier and better for nurses to make their jobs easier. One thing that Craig noted on, I've been here in IT for 23 years. I started off working at Community Valley Hospital here in Napa. One of my first jobs was installing their EMR. It was doing their electronic medical record system. And what I actually was doing was putting new systems for new software between government and healthcare. Those are real big industries that put a lot of money into, obviously, network infrastructure. And for hardware, I was just very blessed to get the job through New Technology High School as my internship. One thing that Craig noted, which I've used almost every single day of my life in my job and outside, is empathy. When you're on a help desk and you're basically part of this bullpen of guys that fix PCs, they fix monitors, fix anything that's wrong with the computer, the first step you have to have is empathy for the person on the other end. When you go to someone's desk, you have to understand that their job is important, everything that they're doing. And so by the time you get called, they probably made the problem even worse than initially started out to be. So you kind of have to hear what they've stepped and gone through, but also let them know, like, hey, you know, you're a doctor, you went to school for 10 years to be a surgeon. I went to school to do this. So how about you don't work on PCs and I won't work on patients? And you kind of got to build that rapport with them, because everyone kind of feels like they've done something wrong, especially in IT. You're there to calm them down. First of all, is to calm your customer down. But literally, once you get on that level of people and you can work on the machines, it's a very fun position. And what Craig is teaching you now with his course is the fundamentals of anything you'll be doing in IT. I went from being a telecommunications manager at Cleveland Hospital, help desk technician at John Muir. At Sutter Health, I was also a junior network technician. And I got to tell you that there's no part of my job in my new job that I didn't use everything I learned from my last. And so basically building up a good network of people and always being receptive and learning from everyone around you, especially being the new guys on the spot. Anybody can fix a PC, but you really have to learn the way to fix PCs they want you to. And I think that circles back to empathy as well. I've been doing IT a very long time. I don't see myself ever getting out of it. And I've built a long lasting career on it. I won't say I've made a ton of money, but I definitely made a very good life for myself. And I think that you guys taking this course with Craig are really going to be on a good foot for a career in IT. And I think it's a very good time for you to be in the IT career field.
Awesome. What do you wish someone would have told you as you were starting IT?
To get into networking. being a help desk guy, it's one of those jobs, it's like you get into a mix of people that do IT, like desktop support, and you have so much fun. You know, networking guys, they kind of on their own planet because they're always deciphering things in their heads and working out best ways for VLANs, and they're just always work so virtually. But help desk guys are just like a bullpen of dudes, and literally just it's hard to get out of because the camaraderie is so strong. But the guys up there in the networking, that's where the money's made. So
he was laughing and clapping. So I think Dean agrees with you.
I've been there more times, but you know what? I couldn't be here without that.
Right.
That's true. Very true. And it takes a special person to do IT support, no doubt.
Yeah, and see, so people tell you, like doing IT support is only half the job. The other half is being very customer focused and like listening to them and really understanding what the problem is and letting them know that you're here to do everything you can to help them. And that's, like I said, the big part of it is people. It's almost the biggest part. I'd say 51%. Anyone can do the IT part. Coming to the table with good customer service skills and listening to your customers is just as important as what you're doing for them.
Oh yeah, look, if people aren't comfortable with you as you helping them, they're not going to give you all the information that you need, or they're going to be afraid to tell you things that will help you solve that problem a lot better or a lot faster. So yeah, absolutely taking care of them and letting them know that, like Travis said, hey, this isn't your expertise, so let me jump in here and help you. You would help me if I needed a surgery or something. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it seems like also I know in IT support too, you do a lot of educating too, and making sure that like, hey, don't write down your password and tape it to the back of your keyboard.
You do, and there are certain things, like this, the old saying goes, lead a horse to water or teach a man to fish. Those things. There's some things where you do want to teach people things so they can help themselves, and it actually makes them feel better. Learning kind of makes you just happy anyways. But yeah, when you show them that, hey, you can do this next time if you feel comfortable, that makes them feel even better, So there's obviously some things you can't do that with, and you're like, hey, you got to call me if this happens. But there are things that when you share knowledge, it's not like we're trying to hog everything and you got to call me when you have a problem. No, we want you to be able to help yourself as well. So, but being able to talk to people is high up there on the list.
And sometimes people are just so hopeless at technology that you hope that they do call you.
Yeah, exactly.
What does a typical workday look like for you, Travis?
There's no such thing as a typical workday in IT. I'm sure Dean can attest to that. It's always kind of contrary to the fire that's at hand. It's always like You know, there's a breach, or, you know, something broke, or an application's down. We have to find our contingency plans. You know, I'd say a quarter of the day is trying to do preventive maintenance and trying to make things better for you in the future. The other half is just putting out fires left and right. I'll speak specifically to help desk. You know, a patch can come out, and like we have a lot of guys that work on the Windows patching servers, and they'll be a cowboy. They'll pass off a patch. You know, it'll only affect 1% of the computers that we have to rebuild, but for a place like Sutter, that's 13,000 computers. So they marginalize these problems as being nothing, harvested hundreds of hours on our end of fixing these issues. So definitely it's kind of rolling with the punches, knowing, especially like in healthcare, like knowing, you know, what's the hottest priority. You know, ours is always patient care. If it affects a patient, or affects a patient, you know, not communicating with a family member, or a nurse not being able to give medication, that takes more precedence than even the CEO saying he can't get into his email, to me anyways. It's always about patient first. And so being customer focused and focusing on what is important for the customer is your focus. And so basically I kind of come in and I reprise my day based on the hottest fire and the biggest priority is. So, but again, they're always different. You know, there's software issues, there's hardware issues, there's patching issues. If you want something new every day, IT is the way to go, because it's never the same day ever.
And then last question, what are you currently doing to keep your skills sharp, and why is it important that people continuously learn in the space of IT support?
So what I'm doing right now is taking a cybersecurity course through NapaLearns, getting my cybersecurity feather in my hat, which looks like a headdress now. What I can tell you about being IT and why I've moved in different places is because if you're stagnant where you are and they're not helping you develop, then you are losing your edge. And if you're not constantly learning and constantly learning more things in IT about you and around you, you will get passed up. So when I went into IT, I wanted to know telecommunications, I wanted to know networking, I wanted to know how everything worked, so to help make things better and to make myself look more lucrative to employers. So like right now, this course we're taking, Cisco, nothing holds more weight than the word Cisco on your resume. And literally they have algorithms that they will filter you out if you don't have it there. And so having this on my resume now makes me a lot more lucrative to employers, not that I'm leaving anywhere, but it was just something I've never delved into. I always wanted to know, and this was a really amazing way for anyone to get their feet wet and just get that name on their resume.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for presenting your perspective and being our distinguished guest speaker.
Thank you, Craig.
Awesome. So we're going to get into, with our remaining time, just a couple of course previews. So the course previews are really here to give you guys an idea of what it would be like to take either one of these courses. So to remind you, we're offering 2 courses that are IT related, one specifically in cybersecurity, which will be Intro to Cybersecurity through Cisco, and the Cisco Cybersecurity Essentials course. So both courses are really aimed at they're really an entry level certification that will put you on the right path to earning an industry recognized cybersecurity certificate. We're hoping that within that course that anyone who completes those 2 courses will be interested in testing for a CompTIA A+ or Security Plus certification. And then the second course that we'll be offering is the Google IT Support Fundamentals course that, it may sound like it's Google focused. It's not Google focused. It's all about really the basics of IT support, how to work in a help desk, which is the organization that supports all the technology in an organization. With that course, we're hoping that you'll be interested in taking a CompTIA A+ certification so that you can really validate your skills and put it on your resume and show off to employers that you've taken the first step in really learning about either one of these areas. And as a reminder, NapaLearns is paying all of the course fees as well as all the certification fees. So we're really excited about the program and excited to get you guys to apply. With that, Travis, do you want to give a preview of the Cisco course?
Absolutely. Like I said, the word right there, there's no bigger word in networking or cybersecurity than Cisco. And when you log in and actually get into this NapaLearns program, you're going to the Cisco Academy. You will have a login, you'll be on Cisco's Networking Academy, and you'll be learning courses that cybersecurity professionals take to get their credentials. Like there is nothing cooler than putting this, in the forefront of yourself if you want to either think about cybersecurity or just to have that information and just to have that option. When you go through this course, well, by the time you're done with it, you will have a great understanding about what's happening around you in attacks, and you'll have a great footing to see if this is something you actually want to get into. You're going to learn things like fundamentals. You're going to learn things like all the great terminology, which we'll talk about all around you. And I really, really like this course so far. I'm almost finished with the end of the essentials, but I mean, I'm soaking this up. It's such a cool class. I've never been to anything like this for Cisco, and it's really, really nice. It's broken up into 2 sections. One's introduction. You learn terminology. You're going to learn just basically all the hot concepts, what phishing means, like what these actual terms are. And cybersecurity gets into the meat, the actual, like what people do to prevent attacks. How can you prevent attacks every single day? And like I said, as you go through each of the courses, you will see I have my broken down, a 5-week on one, 8-week on the other. They're very easy reading. It's all online. It's all self-paced. So you'll be looking at it. 1 week we'll have a discussion. One day during the week, you'll basically talk about what you'll be reading, current events. So that's pretty cool. And then finally, like I said, you will be enrolled in Cisco's online academy. And there's nothing bigger that you can put on your resume than this.
Cool. Do you want to talk about the course outlines really quick?
Sure. So again, they're broken down into the first cybersecurity introduction will be 5 weeks. Cybersecurity essentials will be 8 weeks. This is the exact same course breakdown of the Cisco class. I didn't deviate from the curriculum at all. You'll be learning the exact same program that professionals take to get their credentials. So that's pretty nice. That's all. Like I said, it's all online. It's all self-paced. The first course takes you about 15 hours to complete. Then about 3 hours a week. The second one is the exact same way. It's about 24 hours, 25 hours. There'll be quizzes after every week. There will be final exams as well. Again, these are all self-paced. These are here for your information. And I will be here as well to help you get through these courses. I'm sure a lot of you might know even a lot more than I do as well. So I'll be looking for some news from you guys as well. I believe this will be wrapping up in early November, this course right here. And again, the screenshots here, these are actual screenshots from the actual Cisco Learning Academy that you'll be taking. It says it's an easy read through. And like I said, as you go through it, it's all self-paced, soak it up, learn it, don't just breeze through it. Please learn it, please soak it up. And again, there's nothing bigger than the site you're gonna be going to, the Cisco Networking Academy.
Awesome. Thanks, Travis. Craig, do you want to talk about the Google course?
Let me unmute myself there. So yeah, so like Travis said, having Cisco and in the lights of Google, those things on your resume really hold some clout, especially if you're just getting into getting into IT and you don't have the experience. Having these tags with you will really help you really have an anchor into the industry. So when you get into the course, a little bit of a preview of the course. This is just the first 2 courses, but there will be 5 courses, and they're going to be 6 weeks each. So just to give you a little outline of, these are the first 2 courses. So the fundamentals is the first one and goes over the weeks there. And then the second one, bits and bytes of networking, and then we get into security and admin, things like that. So there will be a quiz. There is a little bit of interactive testing as well as far as the tests go. So you will be connecting things together on a computer interactively. So the test isn't just kind of like multiple choice and do this, do that. No, you're literally going to be getting hands-on and connecting things together and showing you understand. So the components of the courses will be broken down. If you look at the picture, you obviously get a certificate on the right, but if you look at the picture in the middle, it will break down the course for you. Short videos, really, really easy to if you got to stop in the middle of the night, because you're staying up too late, you can. The videos are 1 minute to maybe 10 minutes at the most, but it's all broken down into sections, short videos. We will have a quiz at the end of each section. And then at the end of each week, there will be a graded assignment. And then at the end of each course, there is 5, but at the end of each one, there will be a certificate given. And, you know, you will be able to share that on your social outlets, you know, LinkedIn, anything like that. So that will be very, very heavy cloud for you. And let's go to the next slide here. So just a overview of how we're going to present it here. It is about an 8-month course. So there will be assignments each week. We will, I will hold every week for about an hour. We'll have a class meeting schedule where we can talk about what's coming up for the next week, learnings or any questions or troubles if anybody's having any of those. I will be in the course. I will be available for email anytime. I will try and get back to everyone as soon as I can. But the class time will be a time where you can actually get me one-on-one and ask stuff too. So we'll do all communications through your Google email or your classroom email. And the activity participation will be monitored through Coursera. There will be parts through the course where you have to give your input, and that's almost like through each week. So you'll have to do that. We do have a no class period. We will still be doing the course. I just will not be holding that week class for obviously Thanksgiving and Christmas time. And then at the end of the 5 courses, you will get the Google certificate, but we do encourage you. We want everybody to also, which is covered in this, take the CompTIA A+ certification as well. It will give you extra clout and an extra backbone into, you know, what your knowledge is. So that's all, again, that's all covered by the NapaLearns. So I highly recommend doing that at the end of the course as well.
Awesome. Thanks for the preview, Craig. That I think it's really exciting that we get to bring both of these courses to our students. And I think I'm sure it'll be hard for some of our students to decide between the two. They're both really great opportunities. Just as a reminder to you guys, as you're thinking about applying, you know, we do have some requirements. You know, we're going to be hosting this and helping you through the course, but, you know, we want to make sure that you're comfortable working independently, even though our instructors are here to help you. Really, this is about you putting in the work. So you'll need to make sure that you're carving out time every week to work on this and complete the assignments. You know, you should be eager and willing to learn about technology. So, you know, all of our courses are focused on technical skills, and these ones are especially focused on technical skills, being that they're in IT. You should be, or each of the courses is going to be structured in a way that you'll be able to access the materials, you know, through a variety of formats. So, you know, you'll have different ways of learning, different modalities, whether it be video, reading, that sort of thing. We're hoping that you guys all have access to a Chromebook or potentially even a more powerful computer. So if you don't, let us know, and, you know, we can maybe figure out ways to support you there. Hopefully you have a strong and reliable Wi-Fi connection at home as well. These are all internet-based courses, and all of our meetings will be happening virtually, so it's important that you have decent bandwidth. And I think those are really the only major requirements. So if you haven't already attended an information session, we have a recorded information session that goes a little bit more in depth into what we're planning with our program. But a lot of that has been covered here. You know, also we suggested that you guys attend the seminar series, and you're here. So kudos to you guys for wanting to learn even more. We also have an application process that if you haven't completed yet, the URL will be on the screen in a minute for our Part A application. And Part B of our application will be a personal statement regarding why you're interested in pursuing these certification courses. And so that will launch on the 17th in a couple days here. And then once we look through both parts of the application, we'll make our selections, and we're hoping to notify you guys as soon as possible, hopefully in early August. And yeah, are there any questions for us before we move any further here? If you have a question, feel free to drop it into the chat box. let's see. I am not seeing any questions, which is fine. I'll share my screen again here. So if you haven't yet applied, there's a URL here on screen, and we'll also drop that in the chat. We encourage you guys all to apply as soon as possible because slots are filling up, and we'd love to get you guys connected and get you guys into our application process. Again, once you fill out that initial link, we will have a second part of the application where we're getting our personal statement from you, and those will open up on the 17th. So anyone who's already applied and are using the link that I have here on screen, we will contact and remind you guys to complete this part B of the application. Those will be due by July 31st. So definitely make sure that you get yourself connected if you're interested. Even if you're remotely interested, I recommend you fill out the form so that we can get you on our radar and make sure that we have a spot for you. Another thing that I want to remind you guys of is our support model, which really is our secret sauce here. The orange track is what we call our learning experience for you guys. So we're doing these exploratory seminars to kick things off, get you interested in the course before you apply. Then, over a 4 to 8 month period, depending on which course you take, you'll be actually learning the course material. We're going to actually help you do some certification prep. So we'll spend a couple weeks actually giving you guys prep for certification exams, and then you'll actually hopefully take the exam. It's not required that you take the certification exam, but we certainly are interested in having every single one of our students pursue that, or anyone who completes the course, so that you really have the ability to market yourself and bring that credibility to your resume. And then we're hoping potentially to offer level 2 courses that would be for our advanced learners who have completed these initial set of courses. So hopefully if you stick with us, we'll have additional opportunities, or we'll be able to point you in the right direction as you continue to advance your learning and really take things to an even higher level. And then all of the things underneath the orange boxes are really what we're bringing to the table. You could access any one of these online courses on your own. You may be spending some money on the courses if you did that, but we're also providing all of this additional support that really is going to enrich the experience for you and make it just a much more pleasant online learning experience. If you've ever taken an online course before, it can be isolating. You may be one of 10,000 learners in a course enrolled at any given time. And what we're really trying to do is make sure that, as you move through the program, you have a whole range of support that you wouldn't typically get. So the first being that we have fabulous instructors. You've met Craig and Travis. They're pretty great guys, if I do say so myself. I think they're going to really be able to help coach you through the course material, but really be there as mentors too. So if you had a random question about, what does it practically look like to manage a network, then you have someone that you can ask who actually does that for a living or has done that for a living, which is a really unique aspect of this. We're also trying to build in industry connections wherever we can. So just like we had Dean and Swati, we're going to be working really diligently to provide regular real world industry people to come in and talk about what they do on a daily basis. And we're going to do our best to align that with where you're at in the course. So, if one day you're talking about, computer hardware, maybe we find someone who specializes in that aspect of IT support. And we can create an experience that is more authentic and really provides you an inside look into what it's like to be in these careers. We're also talking about virtual field trips where we can go and visit employers' work sites to really see what it's like to work in some of these places. And then also looking at employability skills. So, as Travis mentioned, in IT support, there's a lot of empathy and a lot of customer service and a lot of things that you don't necessarily associate as technical skills. So what are those soft skills that employers are looking for, and how can we create learning experiences that help you understand what those are and really build up those soft skills. We're also looking at, in our model, we're trying to build a student community. So we're building a cohort of learners, which means you all move through this program at the same speed and experience the same things. And the benefit of that is you guys are going to be able to get to know each other just like you would if you were in a physical classroom. So we're hoping that this is the first of your professional network. So all of the students that take these courses who go and get into jobs and technical fields, those are people that you can now reach out to and have as professional contacts if you're ever looking for employment or you want to bounce an idea off of someone. And so we're really hoping that you guys get to know each other and build your own online community. And then the last really important piece of support is hiring resources. So looking at, you know, how do you go out and seek employment if that's what you're interested in? Maybe you're really just interested in a job shadow or an internship. We're interested in placing you into those types of opportunities. And so anyone who completes these courses will really have a direct line to us. And Michelle Dahlberg, our Director of Student Support Services, is going to be working to ensure that you guys receive that kind of additional support after you complete the course. And we want to make sure that if you've completed this course, that you're provided with opportunities to take what you've learned and apply it, because that's going to be the most enriching experience that comes out of this. And then within that bucket too, we're talking about how do we ensure that our employers in Napa and beyond in our region understand who NapaLearns is, what these certifications are. You could get this certification, CompTIA A+ certification, but if employers don't understand what a CompTIA A+ certification is, then you know, we're not really helping you in market yourself. So we're going to do our best to reach out to local employers who may be at some point seeing your resume, to ensure that they know what the NapaLearns Virtual Career Academy is and what the value of these certificates are. Which kind of brings us to our last bucket, which is we want to help you develop your own professional brand. So we want to make sure that you guys have updated resumes, that you know how to display these credentials, you know how to show off the learning that you've taken, and really take things to the next level. So we're going to be working on making sure that whatever credential you get, whether it just be the certificate of completion or an industry recognized certificate, we want to make sure that that you're doing everything that you can to really show off your skills. And so we'll be focusing on that a bit as well. So you can see that really we're trying to bring a whole lot more than just this online course to you. So we're really excited to have developed this model. We think we call it our secret sauce. And so we think that with a model like this, that we'll have you guys completing the courses at a higher rate and hopefully getting out into the workforce. So we're really excited, and we really hope that you guys all consider applying. There is limited space, and this opportunity really could only be possible through the generous support of our donors. So we're really excited that NapaLearns is here and that our donors believe in creating opportunities like this. You won't see this in any other community. We're really lucky to have a very generous community here in Napa, and you know, take advantage of the generosity and the opportunity. And I encourage you all to apply, even if you're remotely interested. And if you're not sure, you know, respond to one of the reminder emails that was sent out, and we'd love to talk to you and provide additional information. So
Mario, I got a quick question. So everyone here does need to do both A and B. So everyone here still needs to submit an application, and within that, they'll still need to submit their statement.
Yeah, that's right. So everyone will need to complete part A of the application, which is just very basic information, which course you're interested in, if you live or work in Napa County, that sort of thing. And then from there, we'll be notifying anyone who's submitted part A and asking them to submit part B, which is going to be 3 questions that are essentially a personal statement about why you'd be a good candidate and why you're interested in the opportunity. So complete part A first, and then we'll notify you for part B. Awesome. Do we have any other questions in the chat? No. Okay, so there will be a follow-up email. So everyone who registered for today's session will receive that. Within that follow-up email, there will also be a survey that you can take. And if you complete the survey, we will send you a $5 Starbucks gift card. So if you're looking to get a free coffee at Starbucks, I highly recommend you complete our survey and give us your honest feedback on today's session. And with that, I don't know, Peg or Pat, is there anything that I'm missing? You guys always find something that I've forgotten. They're both saying no. All right.
Oh, it was great. Thank you, everybody, especially the guest speakers. Fantastic.
Yeah, I think that was probably our best session yet. It was great. Thank you, Dean, for sticking with us too. It's been great having you, and Travis, thanks for sharing your experience. So again, guys, go ahead and apply. You could also visit NapaLearns.org to learn more about our organization and the NapaLearns Virtual Career Academy. And we look forward to seeing you all as we begin to go through our applications and start up these courses. We'll see you all later.
All right, everyone, bye.